Hi, everybody. Mrs. Dufaro here. And again, today we're going to be talking about Pura Belpré herself. And there's the image of her holding up her puppet and the award. And remember, the award is given out for two award winners, one for the author, which is for the narrative writing, the text or narrative, the story, and two, a second award for the illustrator or the illustrations. And then, of course, there's some runner ups. This, again, was established in 1966, and they have to fit the terms and criteria. So, author and illustrator must be Latino or Latina. They must reside in the United States or Puerto Rico. The work must celebrate Latino culture. The book must be written for children and published the year before. So again, I love looking at maps to really understand where we're talking about. So when we're reading today's story and we learn about Pura Belpré, we know she's from Puerto Rico, which is this yellow dot down here. And if I zoom in, it will say Puerto Rico. There it goes, Puerto Rico. And to give you a frame of reference, here's Florida. So you could see it's off the coast of Florida, past Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. And there's Puerto Rico. Of course, the red dot is us, right? In Mechanicsville or in Virginia. And the red dot is where Pura Belpré goes in her early life to Manhattan in the city of New York. So just to give you a little bit of where we're talking about when we're talking about Pura Belpré, where she's from in Puerto Rico, compared to where we are and to where she ended up moving to. I hope you enjoyed this story. So today we're going to review the Pura Belpré terms and criteria. We're going to learn who she is, Pura Belpré. There she is in the red shirt holding the puppet. We're going to explore the Pura Belpré honorary book from 2020 called The Planting Stories, The Life and Librarian and Storyteller Pura Belpré. And if you see the book right here, it has the Silver Honorary Award for Author Honorary Award. It won in 2020. So we're going to listen for this biography on Pura Belpré and why we celebrate her today. Why did this medal come about? What did she do that's so important in literature that now there is a medal named after her? So that's what you're listening for. After the story, you're going to have some independent time. You can read one of the folk tales that are mentioned in the book, either Juan Pablo, a trickster tale, or a version of the story she mentions called Martina and the Cockroach. Happy reading. So here is the story we're going to be reading today. And the cover has a public library on it. It did win the honorary award for narrative, meaning the author won it. The author is Annick Denise. The title is Planting Stories, The Life of a Librarian and Storyteller, Pura Belpré. So the author again is Annick Denise, and the illustrations were done by Paulo Escobar. This is the book jacket. It's a nice jacket. I love the end pages. And we're going to learn that these end pages are puppets, okay, and books. So it already starts to tell our story. Planting Stories, The Life of a Librarian and Storyteller Pura Belpré. Words by Annick Denise, who won the honorary award for this book, the Pura Belpré Honorary Award, and the illustrations by Paulo Escobar. It is 1921. Pura Therese Belpré leaves her home in San Juan for a visit in Nueva York. That means New York. Words travel with her. Stories of Abula taught her. Her grandmother taught her. Quanta folklores Pura retold in the shade of the tamarind tree in Puerto Rico. So stories she told, folklore stories she told under the tree. Now in a new land, now a new island stretches before her, ripe for planting seeds of the Cointreau she carries. Manhattan, of course, that I told you is in New York, a city of hustle and bustle, bigger, louder, crowder, yet alive with hope and possibility. What began as a visit to celebrate her sister's wedding becomes the first steps in a new land. Y una vida nueva for Pura, a new life, and a new life for Pura. She works first in the garment industry, but it's cold floors and hard edges, not the soft, fertile ground where seeds take root. Then a golden opportunity. Una benediction. The librarian needs a bilingual assistant. Bilingual means bi, meaning two, like bicycle has two wheels. Bilingual means somebody that speaks two languages. Una benediction. The librarian needs a bilingual assistant. Pura speaks Spanish, English, and French. She is perfect for the job. Of course, she's looking out the window to the public library in the streets of Manhattan. But where are Abula's stories? Where's her grandmother's stories? Not one folktale from Puerto Rico is on the shelves. How lucky for the library that Pura has story seeds ready to plant and grow. Thinking back to our title, Planting Stories. So Pura has stories that her Abula, her grandmother, had taught her that she wants to plant and grow in this New York City library in Manhattan. In the children's room, she lights the story hour candle and begins. So remember, we saw this candle in this vase on the end pages here. Pura's words paint a picture of a little mouse with a round balcony where Martina, a beautiful Spanish cockroach, meets Perez, a handsome and gallant mouse. El raccionte Perez y la carcachilla Martina, a tale from the tamarind tree. I'm doing my best with the Spanish words. I was looking them up in the dictionary, on Google Dictionary, to try to pronounce them correctly for us. When Pura's story is done, each child makes a wish on the candle, and with a whisper air, whoosh, la vela is blown out. So the story candle, kind of a neat tradition she has. At the end of the story, they blow out the candle. Now Pura has a wish too, to plant her story seeds throughout the land. Pura learns to make puppets. She snips and sews their clothes, paints their delicate faces. So there's the puppets we saw that Pura Belpre uses to storytell. There's the cockroach, Martina, and the mouse. Families come to hear folktales in English y Español, so in English and Spanish, to watch Pura's puppets dance across the stage of her stories. But the library needs libros for its shelves. Now that's the Spanish words, but what goes on the shelves in a library? Yell it out. Books, libros. But the library needs libros for its shelves. How can more children read Perez y Martina and other cuentos de Puerto Rico? So how can the children read the stories from her place, where she's from, Puerto Rico? like the folktale Perez, the mouse, and Martina, the cockroach. Pura puts her story in an envelope and mails it to Frederick Wayne, a publisher. Soon, Perez y Martina is a book. Now a published author, puppeteer, and storyteller, Pura travels from branch to branch, classroom to classroom, to churches and community centers, planting her story seeds in the hearts and minds of children new to this land who wish to remember La Laguna y los colors of home, of the stories and the colors of home. Isn't that important that we see books that represent ourselves? So, Pure Belpre realized there was no stories of Puerto Rico or of Latino individuals in the library, and she wanted to change that. It's always good to see yourself portrayed in a book, isn't it? And she made this difference. Writing, learning, speaking, teaching, traveling, Pura does not slow down until there's the American Library Association. Until, like the beautiful Martina, she meets her Perez. So we're going to learn a little bit about the story of Martina and Perez in the You Choose category of folktale from her area. On a December day in New York, Pura marries the musician Clarence Cameron White. Un anno away from the library, she decides 1 year to start a new life as a wife. Joy, 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 joy. But a year stretches on. Together they travel to new cities. Clarence plays his music. Pura tells her stories. They are happy years of music and writing, separations and reunions. Friends, families, and stories, always. That's a sweet little piece of the drawing and the music. Until a June day in New York, Clarence stops playing his music, and Pura's story must begin again. Of course, that's kind of a sad line right there. If you read it again, what does that mean? Until a June day in New York, Clarence stops playing his music. What happened to Clarence, do you think? Yeah, maybe he passed away. And she needs her story to start again. She's looking over New York City. It is 1961. Pura returns to the library. There are others now, storytellers, who make puppets dance. Who reads Perez and Martina, The Tiger and the Rabbit, Juan Babo, The Three Magi, and many more Pura stories to the children. So those are some of the folk tales that you would see in Puerto Rico. The seeds she has planted, the roots that grow shoots into the open air of possibilities, have become a lush landscape into which she steeps as though she has never left. So again, thinking of the title, the seeds she's planted. She didn't really plant seeds. She's talking about the story seeds in people's minds and how they grew and grew to others. And there's a lush landscape of Latino and Latina stories on the bookshelves. Planting Stories, The Life of a Librarian and Storyteller, Pura Belpré. This was published in 2019 and won the Author Honorary Pura Belpré Award in 2020. Are you going to plant a story of who you are, your place, your culture, your country? I can't wait to read them. Now that we read that biography, Planting Stories, The Life of a Librarian and Storyteller, Pura Belpré, can you tell me why this medal was invented or established in 1966? I hope some of your answers, you're thinking about what she did for the Latino culture in the United States and how she encouraged and brought her culture into the libraries for other people who are Latino and Latina to read so they can have books that reflect them of who they are. So I think this is a wonderful award that was established in 1966, opening all of our minds to other cultures around the world, this specifically being the Latina culture. Now it's time for number 3, choice, your independent work. You may choose one of these 2 folk tales to read about or listen to. If you're going to choose Martina and the Cockroach, you need to go to Epic, which you can get to Epic a couple of different ways. If you don't know how, you can use this tiny URL to get to this Bitmoji classroom and arrow down to where it says Epic and the directions are there. Or you can click on this tiny URL to click on this link right here to listen and read about the trickster folk tale, Juan Babo. Either or works. So again, here's the tiny URL, https://tinyurl.com/Tufaro Pura Belpré, which gets you the Bitmoji classroom. You can arrow down to get to the Juan Pablo story, or the directions for Epic. Happy reading!